Hey there, it's 1:34 a.m. I said a.m. Okay, so it's pretty damn late. Well, you could look at it this way. It's pretty late in the evening or it's pretty goddamn early in the morning. You can look at it two different ways. Well, anyway, it's Thursday, and it's so crazy because I know when I fell asleep, the sun was still up, okay? And I know that I was on my bed and I was doing some reading, and I just like, it must have been somewhere around 6 o'clock in the evening, maybe. I was like laying on my bed, facing out the window, looking out the window, and I must have fallen asleep. And I just recently woke up about an hour and a half ago. So, and I kept thinking, I'm not going to be able to go back to bed. So, what am I going to do? So, I just decided to soak my feet and soak my feet and trim my toenails. What else is there to do? So I'm not really tired right now, so I don't have a need to go back to bed. So I'm up for a few hours, which kind of frustrates me because it's like, man, there's really not much for me to do. So I decided to make a video. So I pulled three different papers from my bag. So I will be reading, doing some readings for these people that I pulled. Um, I was hoping that I could, have an exciting video, but I feel like here's how I feel. I feel like in between two worlds right now. I feel like I'm trying to put pieces together because I'm still trying to heal from this trauma that I'm dealing with. Meaning, like, I understand who was involved in it and everything, but it does feel very much like somebody, like some sort of injury to my brain. Not in a way to where I can't function, but it's more like uh, a form of damage. You know what I mean? Like the fake family setup, the gang stalking, the reasons why I was gang stalked, the anger, the malicious bullshit, the all of that stuff is extremely traumatizing to me. So, yeah, because it's like you start thinking about, my God, like what in the world? And then, like I said, there's times where I have to literally go back over the whole thing and piece it back together because I have to sit here and say, okay, it all started because, and then I have to think, okay, it's the clone thing. Okay, so then people believe certain things about me. Okay, and then of course it was a problem that started, um, a long time ago, and all these people are involved in it. And then you just think about the originator. I already went all through all of that. Okay, there's just so many things that I've expressed about this whole situation, that you know uh, is a lot for a person to swallow and deal with. It's extremely depressing. And when I think about the mindset of the people who were targeting me, please, I don't even know how to explain it or express my feeling towards the persistence. This is the persistence of targeting me, um, the duration of them targeting me is what caused the mental issues with me. Okay, because obviously when you're a targeted individual, they do things to you that are extremely abusive, that causes great fear. Okay, if you leave one job and you enter another, you were hoping that, because you understand that harassing people at the job puts tremendous stress on an individual. It's like putting a gun to their head. Okay, so you're hoping that you're not going to deal with that environment when you go into the next one. You want to start clean. You want to start over, which you deserve. You deserve that. Okay, you're no longer supposed to be. Once you leave one place of employment, you should be able to start a clean slate. Okay, this is what you're supposed to do. And you constantly run into the same issue over and over and over again. And it's like, my gosh, what is wrong with you? And while this is going on, you've already made videos explaining yourself over and over and over again, giving them the legalities of it, okay? Talking about, why it's against the law. And not just presenting it as a law, but the reasons why it's against the law, okay? And when you still see somebody pursuing you after all of that, there's no reason why you should not feel fear. There's no reason why somebody, the people who got involved with this should think or try to deny my feelings of something that irrational. You know what I mean? Because it puts fear in a person, and in me, I'm uncomfortable just because of that issue alone. The very fact that just even going back to the Murray Family Farms thing. Okay, we all know that this whole thing was started based on a plan that was based on the Nazis or whatever, the Joseph Mengele thing. But when I think back to Murray Family Farms, that means that Steve Murray, and I understand Steve Murray was very, very much involved in this whole program, and his views and how he, let his mask slip several times. And I was very much aware that he was a very crooked individual. And but I didn't realize exactly how and how deep this whole issue is, and how orchestrated it is. Okay, so when you start realizing that there is indeed a cabal, okay, that is based on white supremacy, whatever the case, or whatever kind of group or affiliation that they call it nowadays. Now, like I said, back in the days where the Ku Klux Klan was big, they just went by the Ku Klux Klan, you know what I mean? But now they might go by some other organization and swear up and down that they're not the same as the Ku Klux Klan. We don't burn crosses in people's yard, but you blacklist people, or you target people, or you put people's house under surveillance, or you try to limit the rights and freedoms of black people. This is right there is what puts you in the same category, or why the whole game hasn't changed. Because instead of just going out and lynching a person, you choose like slow kill type tactics. Okay? To where, in the case of C.B. Berganza, he ended up committing suicide. Because, it's these like small harassing details and the bullying and the manipulation that creates an impossible situation for a person to live. And this was basically done under the guise of religion. A lot of it was, but we all know that this was highly racially charged. Okay, oftentimes when people are racist, they like to use religion as an excuse for their abuse. Now, mind you, this was a plan that was originated by Nazis. Okay, and their plan made it so that my adoptive black family was wicked towards me. My blood relations, okay, to me, I can't even make sense of that whole relationship. Why? Because to me, I don't even, to me, it just makes no sense. But they were, to me, used people, okay, black people who were basically being manipulated by a Nazi plan, okay. Then you deal with, the people that I grew up with in the neighborhood and all these other people. Some of these white people knew good and well that this whole thing smacked of fucking Nazism, right? But they got involved anyway. So then you sit there and you question people like your old school teachers, people that you worked with. You start tripping out hard because you start making a clear division about who the fuck you can actually give two shits about. Okay, because these people, just honest and truthfully, are not what they seem. You know what I mean? Like they appear to be decent people on the outside, but when you really get down to the core of these people, you're like, my goodness, that these people were fucking Nazis in the modern day. Does not blow me. That blows me away. It blows me away because, why? Because I have always tried to see the good in people. You know what I mean? Even though I'm a complete realist, okay? And everybody knows I'm really good when it comes to pointing out human nature. I can predict bullshit that people are going to do. I'm good at that, okay? But, growing up, I knew that racism was something I dealt with. And I knew that my parents talked about racism all the time. Um, but I always kept thinking, well, this is like, different day and age. I didn't think that racism was that big of a problem. I mean, I did, but you do, but you don't. You know what I mean? You think that the majority of people are going to evaluate you based on your skill or the things that, you don't, I honestly, like for example, if I was needed to call a plumber right now, I don't give a fuck who they send to fix my toilet. Okay? Just fucking fix it and make it sure that my toilet is not going to have any more problems after you fix it. And hopefully that you're a reasonable price and so on and so forth. Okay? I don't give a fuck what the plumber looks like. Okay? But there are some people who do. Okay? And honestly, to me, that shit doesn't even fucking matter. You know what? I need something done. I need a service done. Okay, that's all I care about. But there are certain organizations in people who can get really angry just the very fact that you have a job. You know what I mean? Like I know I have been harassed on the job several times by this group of people who put me in these jobs and had their people try to like bully me out of it and it just whatever. Um, it's been just really going through this whole mental thing and thinking the whole thing through. I will tell you, it bothers me. It bothers me a lot because you want to know, you wish you could ask people, okay, did you know or did you see yourself as a Nazi when you did this? You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of, it's too deep, okay? It's too deep, okay? But this Nazi plan was orchestrated and played out in public. Okay. Now, what did the now they're changing their tune and they're talking about what do you call it? So-called racial unity and stuff like that. Like they understand that they what they did, and sometimes you have to define what white people do and how it's wrong to other, to minorities because they don't know. And see, it's what they don't know is what gets them in trouble. Okay. Like I said, I've never been somebody who likes to stir the racial pot. I've always just like, I tried to go to work and be happy in my own little space, stay in my own lane, as they call it. But I know that I would get messed with a lot of people. But then again, here's the thing. I was in a program that was orchestrated by Nazis, okay? Which means that they were at the top of the pyramid, which means everything that was coming down from the pyramid is going to be corrupted. So while I'm working in their jobs that they're setting me up with, they're fueling the fire. The managers involved with it, the business owners involved in it. Do they know why? But I do know that they use religion as an excuse, okay? But to me, it's like, okay, when I was talking to the person that I used to know, the guy that I've said that he was a clan member, they were supposed to be targeting me because I wasn't a Christian, right? Well, the guy that I was talking to, that's one of their spies, was admitting to me that he was fucking Buddhist. You know what I mean? And the funny part is, it's like, oh, okay, well, that issue religion doesn't apply to clan members, white people, right? But it does to me. So it's almost like you can smell or you can detect that this is a bullshit lie. It's a lie. Okay? It was a complete lie. Because the thing is that they were targeting me because of their racist views. That was it, okay? And a lot of times, you would catch them in little lies like this. When you're a targeted individual, you have to pay attention to your perps. Not just your perps, but you need to pay attention to what your perps say. Okay? If you feel as though you're being targeted for religion or whatever, when your perps are, everything people say, start finding out what is their religion. Okay? Because, yeah, a lot of times, like I said, in my case, I was targeted. They said they were using religion as an excuse, but it was really my race. If that was, what I'm saying is, okay, the guy that I was talking to on the phone, the guy who was a Klans member, who identified as being Buddhist, he slipped up. Okay, the reason why I'm glad he mentioned that, but the thing is that they were using religion as an excuse. Why is it that he's in that little clique if he's a Buddhist? Is anybody targeting him? Oh no, not really, because he just recently started a new career, right, in a field that was unrelated to what he was doing. But this is what I'm saying is that you can tell that this whole thing was bullshit. This whole fucking thing was bullshit. Okay. And so I sit here at night and think about me dealing with all the trauma and the fact that this person, that called me on the phone was actually somebody who had a Joseph Mengele mindset. Meaning that he's calling me knowing that I'm in this situation and he's getting off on basically abusing me. Why the fuck do you think I'd want anything to do with him? And so now, and the same person is like looking at himself right now, and he feels like I placed fear in him. And now, because the thing is, a lot of people took me for granted. They thought that I was, somebody because I was kind of a loner, or they thought that I didn't have any sort of self-respect, that I would be able or willing to still be somebody's friend after they would do some sort of shit like this to me. Okay, but I'm going to tell you right now, that's not possible. Meaning, and when I talk about friends, and because I don't want to be this person's friend anymore, that is in no way me saying that I want to take revenge on this person. Okay, I understand the kind of connection that this person has. You know what I mean? He's associated with people who are, it's shocking to me. I'm not going to go into the whole thing. But my point is like, you know what? This was such bullshit and a waste of my time. You know what I mean? And it also made so that I feel as though, who the fuck can you trust? You know what I mean? I can't tell you how corrupt this whole thing was. The whole thing, from the very get-go. You know? So there's not much for me to do, so I just decided to sit here and talk about it. And let's see here. I did get some intuitive messages, and the one message that I got was a lot of people think it's kind of interesting, kind of funny in a way, that I have to deal with people who are not as informed as I am. Okay, they think it's kind of funny that, like, for example, I ended up getting blacklisted and it was illegal to do so, and the reasons why, and how they got caught in their lie, and blah, 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 blah. And people think it's funny that I have to, that it's so, because I will say I have to deal with a lot. Okay, it's not like they think it's funny because it's funny. It's just, like people find it like odd, or it's hard for a lot of people to imagine what it's like to sit there and in a world where everybody has basically lost their mind and you're the only fucking goddamn real person that knows right from wrong. Okay? Because you realize that your rights are being violated. You realize that people are taking advantage of you. You realize that your people around you are fake. You realize that the people around you would willing to fucking kill you if they had the chance to. Okay? This is the reason why people are. I'm like a very, what they call, woke person in a in a group of people who really, to me, I'm not comfortable with. You know what I mean? What do you do? I've always pretty much kept to myself. I think I've tried to, as much as I possibly could. Anyway, so let's get into some of these messages. Some of these messages are kind of, this time I was kind of bored. So, and because I woke up at such a weird hour and everything got turned around, I decided to just pull from the bag. And I got the first group of people. Now, I threw communities in the bag too. Like, for example, most of the people in this bag are celebrities, okay? And I know, like, I pulled Virgo 31's card like more than just once, okay? I pulled Capricorn 9 card more than once. Sometimes these people come up repeatedly. Now, I don't know if you guys ever like had fortune cookies, but fortune cookies are a form of divination. Believe it or not. Okay, they're kind of funny now, but it's the same principle. Same principle when you pull out a playing card or tarot card. Okay, it's your intuition that makes you draw that, pick that one. The reason why you're picking that one is because it's your intuition that's making you do it. It's very subtle, but this is how it works. Okay. And this is one of the reasons why some people are shocked, like, oh, this fortune cookie really does apply to me. Some fortune cookies can be very cool when it comes to the little messages in them. And then, of course, you get the little silly ones, too, right? That are just kind of, frivolous. But pay attention, okay? Because I personally believe that there is no coincidences, right? So, I got another message for the Bakersfield community. Now, I added Bakersfield community in with the celebrity bag, right? Because I live here. And I'm also trying to focus on people that are familiar with me, okay? Or know me, connected to me in some way, okay? And obviously, I live here. So, the first message I got is that a lot of people in this community feel as though that there's no real administrative duties in the government system, and there's a lot of playing around and goofing off and stuff like that. And you know what? I would say when you're dealing with being a target, and the reasons why you're getting targeted, you wonder, like, is there more important things to be fixated on other than the black woman wearing a fucking pair of jeans or whatever? I don't know. You know what I mean? Some of these people, I'm a little frustrated by this whole issue. You know what I mean? But I literally have to sit here and think back as to how did the fucking issue get started, because it becomes overwhelming for me. Because the real issue is that I am the reincarnation of Prince Alamehu. That is the root of the problem. This is how these people know me. This is how the whole thing started. Okay, my father wanted me to come. My father, James Gordon, who is actually my grandson. This is so mind blowing. Through this cloning process, had me come back. Okay, I came back through the cloning process. And I was a part of an experiment. My father, that participated in the experiment, was hoping that I would have a good future, thinking that I would be a celebrity of some kind. Okay. Now, mind you, I don't want to be a singer, especially if that was the plan. They should have like inquired about this many years before that. Before I was like even in my 40s. To me, it's like I'm older, so I think that's kind of a joke at this point, and I don't have any interest in doing that. But I have to remind myself, where in the world does this actually start? Okay, but all I know is that I just recently became aware of the Prince Alamehu thing last fall. I was sometime either in October. Yeah, I think it was October, late October. Hang on a second, get some water. So this became an issue, obviously, with important people have been watching me for many years. And this could have very been, I know that they had people bullying me throughout my entire life. And of course, using the school system and in places of employment and everywhere else you go. Okay. And this has been going on for a very long time. And it took a long time for me to figure it all out, okay? And it is weird because really, if it wasn't for that psychic vision of mine, okay, I would have never figured out me being Prince Alamehu. I would have never figured it out. But do you know what? When I think about this, I do suspect that a lot of the things that get flashed on your news flash, or what do you call it? Like when you go into, like, you log into your email account, right? And they have like the little news page, I guess, you know, because that's, I remember reading the Prince Alamehu story in hang on a second, I'm turning my little heater on really quick. I remember reading the Prince Alamehu story last year around this time in May. Um, it was like a year ago when I read the Prince Alamehu story, and I remember it flashed on my news reel or feed, and I thought, okay, I don't know, I just read it, okay. I think it was a morning that it was close to when I was leaving my last employer, because I think I left my last employer like the last week of May of last year, but I do remember it was sometime in May. And I remember reading it and thinking, oh, that's a trip. And that's a trip. I never heard that story before. And it was one of those fascinating stories that, kind of, kept my interest for maybe 15 minutes. Okay, it wasn't that long. It had no big effect on me when I read the story. Um, I first read the story, it didn't. You read all these little fun facts and stuff like that, or whatever. But I felt like I've read so many weird stories before that was just another interesting fact, and I kind of filed it into the back of my brain. Okay. But when I had that vision of me bringing Prince Alamehu last fall, okay, that that originally insignificant story popped into my head. And then the dawning came on to me that it made fucking sense. Okay? And now I realized who I am. And it blows me away. Okay? It really blows me away. But the fact is, I believe that this Prince Alamehu person was a very intelligent person. Also, he was an occultist, okay? And based off what I've researched, him being C.B. Berganza, he identified as an occultist, which I am an occultist, right? I mean, this is pretty much the way I think and what I do. Everything I do basically is related to the occult. And this is who I am. You know what I mean? And I realized this since I was a kid, right? Slowly developing into who I am. And some people have felt throughout, my years of being targeted, that Prince Alamehu was probably ahead of his time back then, and I am pretty much ahead of my time now. And I feel as though they have always resented me, and this particular family um, has resented me throughout the years. Okay, I honestly, like I said, I never really paid attention before who these people really were until just recently. You know what I mean? Like, how the hell would I fucking know any of that? Um, I think most clones are not really meant to know who they are, and some people wake up and some people don't. Okay, in this case, I woke up and I found out who I was. Okay, and I'm Prince Alamehu, who has been racially abused for a very, very long time. A very, very long time. Okay, very shocking. But anyway, um, when it comes to my community believing or suspecting, I feel as though what went on and the people who got involved in this, um, I had brought it to their attention or reminded them that the original purpose of this was based on a Nazi plan or the association of Joseph Mengele, and how inhumane it was. It was extremely inhumane, and there's no way in the world you can deny that it was based on my race. I have been suppressed, and I have been what do you call it? Not yeah, pretty much ostracized. I would say something happened within 2012. Uh, I know when I was at Murray Family Farms, I pretty much stopped doing my first video channel. My first video channel was created in 2008 or 2009, 2008, I believe. Okay. And I stopped doing the videos for Dark Desert Moon at that time, and it seemed like it was like people were playing games, taking sides and bullying and just ridiculous. It was just over the top. Okay. And I do realize that this particular family spends a lot of time communicating with people on the lower half of the pyramid. Okay. And like my employers and stuff like that. And I didn't do anything wrong. Okay, but like I said, I'm a victim of white rage. Okay, years and years and years of these people watching, observing me, and now coming to find out this is who I am. Okay, and then they didn't like it, and the whole thing is just very disturbing to me, extremely disturbing. And then I understand that the people here in our system, and when I'm talking about system, I'm talking about the government system, all the way down. You know what I mean? Like I know before Dianne Feinstein passed away, then this whole thing started, I remember communicating with her. Okay, she was aware of it. She's gone now. Okay, rest in peace or whatever. Okay, but mayors, senators, people, everybody fucking goddamn knows me. Okay, they all know me. Everybody fucking knows me. And Dianne Feinstein, when I first contacted her, she knew who I was. Okay, as Prince Alamehu, as some sort of clone. I was just at that time, I was just plain old Maria Gordon, dealing with racial harassment at a workplace that ended up spraying through all the goddamn all over the place, and I didn't even do anything. Okay, this whole thing just like really really tripped me out. The whole thing. What else did I want to say? Um, that doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean to me. Okay, you know what it means to me. It means, or it feels like it confirms my suspicion that there's a lot of things that go on in our government system that I can't get into. You know what I mean? And this is one of the reasons why I don't get involved with politics, and I try to stay out of things as much as I possibly can. I feel like a million miles away from everything that people do. But anyway, also, Bakersfield community wants to thank me for making them aware of what targeted individuals are. Making them aware of what they are, and the signs. Like what can you look for? What can you expect? What goes on in the life of a targeted individual? And there's a lot of targeted individuals here in the Kern County area. Kern County is huge for human trafficking. A lot of people in the community right now are talking about me and how all this whole thing unfolded, and they're kind of amazed at the things that they believed before, meaning like they were fueled with a lot of misinformation. You know what I mean? I'm glad people are waking up right now. And I do understand that the people who originally targeted me they're basically they dabble themselves in the occult. Okay. And they feel as though that there's some sort of competition. There may have been competition in their mind. Okay. I've never been competitive about the occult. Okay. The occult is obviously my forte, right? It's my forte. It's something I made a living on, and it's my thought process. It's everything. Okay, I think in symbolism. I act in symbolism. I respond basically to symbolism. Everything has some sort of weird connection in my brain, and this is one of the reasons why a lot of people are being inspired by alien clone research. Okay, this when I started talking about my story, it inspired a lot of other people to get interested in this topic. Okay, so obviously my origins are very, very, very connected to the stuff that I'm enthusiastic about. You know what I mean? It's who I am. Now, I did mention that the occult in various ways has been practiced throughout the entire world through different countries, different people, right? Um, so I don't like to think that the occult is something to be competitive about. You know what I mean? To me, it's just a forgotten or hidden um, uh, information or knowledge that most people have been forgot about because it's been washed away from most people's history. You know, we've basically had other religions that would kind of either force or take away things that resembled anything that related to who each person was, each race was, each whatever, and people basically have embraced, you know, I guess what they call mainstream religions. Okay, and that's nothing wrong with that. But you look at a lot of mainstream religion symbolism, a lot of that stuff is basically occult. The occult. Okay, so the occult is something that predates all religion. So, um, what was I going to say? So the very fact that the people, the family that got involved, who originally targeted me, you know, they dabble into the occult. I'm not surprised. I do remember reading some information many years ago about how you know their I think their grandmother, maybe great grandmother, uh, was consulted in astrologers and stuff like that. So I'm not really that surprised. Um, I'm not surprised really at all. Um, and that's completely to me to want to understand what is hidden in the world is um, and be on the quest for that in your life. I think that that's completely understandable. You know what I mean? I'm not. I don't think you know the occult is something that people should be debate about. Nor really can somebody really own the rights to it. Like people have the right to talk about their version of the occult as much as anybody else does. You know what I mean? Nobody has a patent on things like God or the how the universe works. Nobody has the right to claim that. Or you know, everybody has the right to. That's just like open. You know, you can't own that basically. Anyway, so this message I got is for um, Gemini 24. Is that a Gemini or yeah, that would be a Gemini. Well, I thought it was Taurus at first, but it's Gemini 24. And they basically, I think the reason why they got involved in my social media um, is because they wanted to create partnerships and stuff like that. And like I said, you know, when it comes to people just like digging in and being a part of my stuff, such as the Libra 14 person or whatever, that's not how things are supposed to operate. Okay? And a lot of people feel maybe more comfortable with forming business partnerships, but you have to understand someone like me, I never think about partnerships. Partnerships are something that I don't think about. Like, I'm so autonomous, you know what I mean? I'm extremely autonomous, and I always have been, mainly because of dealing with my experience as a targeted individual. And even like since childhood, like I know not to count on people. I don't trust people to carry out anything. It's not just a matter of me being suspicious of them. It's just that I know that no one's going to be as enthusiastic about me, about certain things that are going on in my mind, or they're not going to move or do what I want them to do when I need them to. And I don't want to deal with any frustration or arguments. I'm just somebody who's better off doing things on their own. I have never asked anybody for anything in this life. And so it bothers me that people would just help themselves to whatever it is I'm doing, especially since I dealt with their abuse before that time. You know what I mean? So it just really wasn't something that made me feel comfortable. But when it comes to me being in charge of what I do for a living, yeah, I mean, that doesn't make that shouldn't surprise people. You either, in order to make a living in this world, you either work like a corporate job or maybe for a company that's family owned. Or, I still consider all that stuff corporate. Okay, whatever. You work for somebody else. Okay, or you have your own business. It's either one or the way or the other. Now, mind you, I was dealing with a lot of targeting from Libra 14 and all these other people, right, in the 9 to 5, and I hated it. And they were basically trying to force me into suicide. You know what I mean? Basically saying you either do this, 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 and this, or you can't have a job, which is illegal to do. Okay? And I was tired of it. I was tired. I didn't know Libra 14 was in part of this at the time. Okay? But I was tired of it. You know what I mean? And I obviously knew that there was some sort of injustice. At the time, I realized I was in Bakersfield, which I believe to be a very racist community. Maybe they've gotten a little better, but still, whatever. At the time, I realized that I was dealing with something that really I shouldn't have to deal with. So, um, I just figure I would just go on and work, go put my content on Patreon, give lessons, and expand from there. Create, little shows and demonstrations and whatever. I want to do more with that. And so that's what I decided to do. And so they thought, well, we're going to have a partnership. And that's what offended me so much. Because I can't take it. I cannot take this. I cannot deal with that sort of relationship. I cannot deal with these people who've done nothing but abuse me. I can't deal with it. Cannot deal with it. So it's not that. I just felt really upset and angry that people got involved in things that they should not have gotten involved with. You know what I mean? And I felt um, extremely demoralized. I do not feel any sort of drive being associated with these people at all. Anyway, also the message I get from my community is like basically I should only focus on spiritual issues, and really that's the only thing I care about. I everything that I do relates to my spirituality. Everything I do, and that might be completely opposite to like the people who targeted me. We don't see things. We don't see things eye to eye. Okay, and that's fine. Okay, there's no reason why we should. Based on what I understand as my origins of Prince Alamehu and your origins of who you are, I just say let's just have peace and walk away from each other. Because I can't deal with that anymore. I mean, my spiritual life is the only thing I really care about. You know what I mean? And, yeah, that is it. You know what I mean? I would say the United States does kind of run on its own. They do a lot of things that they shouldn't do. They were basically trying to bully me out of my life. You know what I mean? I don't know what else to say, but I would like to only focus on spiritual issues, but right now I think it's important that I make my money. And this is one of the reasons why I've come on these. Not, I didn't come on this video tonight to talk about my money that I'm trying to collect, but it is an issue. I can't move on with anything until I get it, and I know that they're the ones that are responsible for the holdup. Everything that goes on in my life, they were responsible for everything, and I find it shocking and I find it offensive. You know what I mean? What else do I want to say? Oh, okay. The last message I got is from Aquarius 29. Now I'm familiar with you because I've been watching you on TV since I was well, I would not say I watched you as an adult so much, but I watched you a lot as a teenager. After school, it was really hard for me not to watch your show, mainly because that was one of my ways of hopefully having a stimulating conversation. Because in high school, I just felt as though I wanted to have conversations about, issues that people weren't talking about at school, right? So after school, that was my time to enjoy things that you were talking about. And so that's one of the reasons why I watched your show. Now, I stopped watching TV kind of a long time ago, mainly because the shows weren't as good, I would say. And, I don't really watch any other kind of show unless, of course, it's got to be based in reality. Okay, I'm one of those people who pretty much a realist, and you had some pretty good conversations on when you first started your show. So, anyway, yeah, I would say that my behavior has changed a lot. You know what I mean? I don't feel comfortable with this whole situation. This whole situation, it just like paints a dark cloud over everything. You know what I mean? I find it I find it impossible to be happy knowing that I was involved in any of this. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm not comfortable with the behavior of these people and the very fact that the greed. Okay, you know what it is, really? Yeah, it's the greed of these people. It's the greed of them making a person suffer in the previous life. Their family was responsible for this man taking his life at that time. Okay, so he thinks he's going to have a second chance, and then he comes back to life on Earth, only to be bullied out of his existence and trying to force this person into a lifestyle that was going to make him commit suicide again. See, this is why I have an issue with these people and the slow movement of these people. And the fact that I feel like my life is threatened on a daily basis because of these people, because of their slow action. You know what I mean? And the messages that they send, and they'll swear up and down, oh, I'm not doing anything wrong. The very fact that my channel shows less numbers than it really should, and yes, I do believe that I'm telling you the truth. I also do believe that the fact that my Patreon lags, I have not been on my Patreon, mind you, because I have to upload 2 more videos for the month, okay? And once I do upload those videos, then I'll check my things, okay? But the very fact that they like to do these sort of messages, I don't like messing with sick people. And I do believe that these people are very sick by the shit that they do. Okay? If somebody told me, Maria, what you're doing is making me feel uncomfortable. Okay? And I'm telling you why it makes me feel uncomfortable. Okay? And they're telling me why it makes them feel uncomfortable. I'm going to stop doing that to that person. Immediately. Okay? Look how long it has taken these people. They constantly were basically pushing me to the point of where I would have rather committed suicide than dealt with this shit. Okay, trying to take away my rights, trying to take away who I am, trying to just completely trying to walk all over my shit. And mind you, I don't even know these people personally. Okay. And then, mind you, they have people that I used to know, such as the guy who called me up on the phone to check on me, right? So he can tell me that this is going on in his life, right? When he's basically trying to kill me. Nope. Of course, it's changed me. It makes it so that I know that I can't talk to just anybody, or I can't feel like I can trust anybody. I mean, I basically once you deal with that sort of shit, that you realize, my goodness, I'm dealing with some pretty twisted people. People that can sit here and watch you suffer. They watched you suffer. They watched me many times make the statement of how it made me feel, how it made me worry, how old I was, what I was concerned about, wasting my time, my life. I'm 53 years old. I've been bitching about people wasting my life for almost a decade now. Okay? And guess what happened? It took a long time. So do I trust these people? No, I don't. Okay, my ex network. I do remember one time, I think I applied for one of your jobs a long time ago, and that was being arranged by my adoptive sister, Lisa. So I don't know, somehow I kind of felt in some way that you may have been connected um, a long time ago. Perhaps, maybe, I don't know. I'm trying to put the pieces together. This is like somewhere around 2014 or whatever. And mind you, Aquarius 29. It is very late right now. It's like I don't even. I'm like it's 2:30, 2:23 as I'm talking. Okay, so my words are a little slurred. Please forgive me. I am starting to slow down a little bit. Okay, but uh, what happened to me was just an absolute nightmare, and I'm sorry that it ever happened. Like it clouds too much of my day. It affects my life too much. The quality of my life has just been completely reduced because of these people, and I can't forgive that. I can't. Anyway, I also get the message from you is that the group of people that you associate with, um, I guess, as well as the president, agrees to let the economy be free as far as people choosing their own jobs. I don't know why that should come as such a surprise to people. It's always been that way. You're supposed to find your own job. And I do understand that there are networks, okay? There are networks. Most networks are supposed to be, you know, you're giving your consent to be in the network. Okay, you're basically you're a full participant of the network. Some people form networks, and they say, okay, well, let's get together, and they form the group. Everybody knows that they're in the group, right? You know that you're in the network. You're aware of the network. You know the people in your network. Okay, you know each person's name in the network. That was not the case with me. Okay, in my case, I believe it was Labor 14 who orchestrated the majority of this. Um, I was placed in a network that I could not get out of. Okay? Mind you, anytime somebody says, I'm going to choose your job, basically, you're, um, you're being trafficked. Okay? And there's nothing wrong with people choosing your job or helping you find a job, like I said, but if you're not doing it based on those, if you're going off of deviating from the original guidelines of employment laws, okay, then that's when you're going to get in trouble. And that's pretty much the only thing that these people have done, okay? Um, People are supposed to be able to find their own jobs, okay? And I understand that people have practiced this arranging to people's jobs for such a long time that they honestly think that it's the norm or that's how it's supposed to be. But this is incorrect. Think about it. When people choose your own jobs, that means that you're going to be unable to pay your bills until somebody else feels like you can pay your bills. I want you to think about that. That means somebody can decide whether you lose your house or you don't. Think about that. Is that freedom to you? Does that make any sense that somebody else should be able to decide when you can and cannot keep a roof over your head? Think about that. Okay, that doesn't make sense. And if somebody thinks that they have the right to do something like that, you better start questioning and waking up because what you're dealing with is human trafficking. Okay, I will tell you, I would have never allowed myself to have collected unemployment for that long period of time. I wanted very much to work at the time, and I was doing everything I could. Finally, after leaving my last place, there was no way in the world I could work to another job. I cannot do it, and I really felt like I was, you know, uh, taking a chance on my second job, meaning the last job. Meaning, like, okay, I'm doing the best I can to even get up in the morning and go to this goddamn place. This nightmare. This hellhole. Okay? Because I don't feel any sort of connection to it whatsoever. And now, at this point, like I said, I'm not working a job. So, uh, the problem with it is that this network was obviously, it was a hate crime, but they were giving me jobs where, like, they were trying to make me into something that I fucking hate. They hate me. They hated me because they didn't like the fact that I like my clothes. Okay? So they even went so far to manipulate my credit cards to where they stopped my JCPenney account. I believe that they're responsible for that. I believe they're 100% responsible for that because they want to do is they want to modify your behavior and they want to change you. So you obviously get set up in jobs where you have to live or do things that you don't see. This whole thing to me is so wicked and so warped. Okay, that this is what causes me a lot of mental issues. A lot of mental issues. Okay, to go to think that somebody would actually operate in such a way to give you a job that you fucking hate, to set you up in a life that you fucking hate, and think that you don't even fucking care. You know what I mean? You know, and I'm shocked, and the whole thing bothers me. Anyway, but yeah, the president, goddamn. Anyway, the president should have known that that's how the economy is supposed to work. Okay, and honestly, if people didn't have these stupid networks, people would the issue of unemployment wouldn't be as bad as it is. You know what I mean? But people, these networks, I mean, it's horrible. Anyway, I'm gonna go on to the next thing. Also, I get the feeling that the path that you believe that the path that I'm on is good, and I should just keep making content and keep going. I'm doing the best I can under the circumstances. It's been very, very difficult. Okay, I do get the intuitive message that the people, the main perpetrators, the people who kidnapped poor little Prince Alame, who at least his ancestors, maybe what I'm talking about is the people in England. Okay, they accept that they're not worthy of me, and this includes Capricorn 9, and I'm glad that I got this understanding that they understand that. Okay, because the things that they did, maybe they didn't think about it before, but now they understand they went too far. Okay, um, and and they did. They went way too far. They should have never um, did the things that they did. And really, a relationship with them would be really inappropriate. Okay? But I have the right to go on with my life, and this is what I choose to do. And I'm so sorry that this is such a groggy message, but mind you, it is already 2:31 in the morning, and I'm a little slowed down. But I this whole experiment was evil, okay, and I'm tired of looking at remnants of it, and they have ruined my credit. They have ruined it. They have ruined so much. This whole situation, being in this program, has ruined so much for me, and it basically made it very difficult for me to live and survive. Me not being able to pay for my car, me for and it's unnecessary. It's unnecessary. The pain that these people caused me was absolutely unnecessary, and I'm glad that Capricorn 9 understands that I want peace, but that's sort of a kind of, I mean, or the whole entire family that's related to her. I'm glad they understand that this is completely inappropriate. It's inappropriate. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. I am very tired. I do appreciate you guys watching my videos and supporting me. I will be coming back with another video sometime later. Take care. Good night.